Okay, hi. Okay, where am I? Here we go. Okay, hi. So today our subject is rulerships and rulership trees and interceptions. And it comes back, I'm just going to talk about rulerships for a beginning. There's a lot of controversy about rulerships. What should be rulers? There's the traditional rulerships and there's modern rulerships, and people swear by all kinds of rulerships. It doesn't mean they're listening to their rulers. Essentially, the RASA approach is that the 5 planets you can see in the sky, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, are bright enough to be noble representations of the reflected light of the sun and the moon. So they all have the presence of the light of the sun. All the planets do in some way, but Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, we can't see. They're too far out. They're not seeable. They have a powerful influence in the charts, but they don't deserve rulerships. If you give the Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto rulerships, you distort the nature of the signs of the zodiac. And you start saying because Neptune rules Pisces, all Pisces are drunks or fanatics or mystics, or and Pluto, all Scorpios are really this crazed intensity. No, all the things. Even the Uranus ruling Aquarius, really Aquarius is a fixed sign that resists change, not the radical. It's a strategic Saturnian sign. So I want to go over these, but so I have them here in brackets because they're the modern rulerships. But as the years have gone by, first 5-6 years, I used the Western rulerships, and then I just began to notice things and distortions and perspective. Just begin to sense it, and then there's a natural balance between the masculine and the feminine rulership of each planet. Each planet has a masculine and feminine sign that it rules. Has 2 different sides of its aspect. That's a beautiful poetry. And the other planets to say because there's 12 signs, there has to be 12 rulers. It's a dogma, it's a theory, it's a mathematical concept that's being imposed on astrology, and many concepts are. And they work them through and people use them and apply them, and that's part of the exercise of the language. But it's not necessarily the lucid use of the language. It's a branch. You have to follow it through for yourself. And but the basic concepts of the light, the planets you can see with your eyes, they're the rulers, they're the guiding lights. They're the heavenly bodies that guide us and set an example how we can elevate our natures and live better. So, it starts out with the moon ruling Cancer and the sun ruling Leo. They each have their one, the sun and the moon each have one sign that they rule. No masculine, they are the masculine and the feminine. They split it. But outside of that, Mercury rules the next 2 signs. Virgo the feminine, and Gemini the masculine. And they don't necessarily get along with each other. They have different ways of using it, but the 2 really clear ways of thinking is free thinking, which is the Gemini thinking, and independent free thinking and expression, and analytical, critical, discriminating expression, discriminating thinking, which is also very useful. So these are the 2 halves of Gemini, discriminating. Each one has its positive and negative side, this whole spectrum of how it can work positively or negatively. And backing up a minute with the moon, our sense of security, really, basically, it's often said that each planet, each sign has one planet that expresses itself best in, that is most comfortable. So the rulerships, they express themselves best in the signs they rule. That's simple. And they usually have another sign that they more or less express themselves fairly well in, and that's the exaltation sign. So we're not going to work so much with exaltations. That's a further fringe. But the rulerships, I want you to think about a little bit. There's a lot of depth in the rulerships and a lot of mystical gateways or ways of elevating your nature. So the sun is the playful child, the radiant sun, that here I am. There's the Leo, the noble, radiant, shining Leo, confident. You know, it's summertime. You can afford to be confident. You can afford to play. It's natural time. So the two warmest planets, the moon and the sun, two closest, the two brightest lights, are in the two warmest signs or brightest signs of Gemini and the two summer signs, the Cancer and the Leo. And the end of the summer is the Virgo, the critical thinking. Oh my goodness, is harvest ready? What do we need to do? What has to be done? What has to be fixed? That improving, fixing sign. And before that is the freedom, just following one's ideas, seeing where things are in the seasons. It's the pollen. It's everything's diversified and flowing through the air. It's like it's really, you're seeing how far you could think, but sooner or later, the thinking, if it doesn't lead to security, it can get ungrounded. It can get too far out there. So you're free to go, but the moon tries to keep things secure. The sun makes it confident, and the confidence tends to counter the discrimination of the Virgo. And ideally, they should be able to work with, to be confident. If you're discriminated well, you can be confident about who you are. If you're not discriminating, the confidence can be arrogance. So then you have Venus, the values and the emotions and how we make our choices. So how we think, how we make our emotion and our desires and choices, what we want, what turns us on, what we like. That's Venus. And Venus rules Taurus, the earthy, the feminine sign, the earthy. I like this is mine. I like this, the quality, the taste, the style. And it has its accumulation of things I like. It's practical. The spiritual lesson of the Venus and Taurus is how to give something you really care about, to be able to give it away, not hold on to it exactly. That's really a ennobling side of Venus. And it's kind of between the two, because having things and sharing them, the Venus sharing what you have, sharing ideas, being appreciated, sharing ideas with others. This is the Venus ruling Libra, wanting to be appreciated for my ideas, wanting to be having nice things, and wanting to be appreciated for my ideas, and cultivating these things. So a lot of artistic and qualitative things, a lot of lust and a lot of vanity comes into this too. So each of these areas, they are stages of one's spiritual path. How to find your true heart and your true radiant nobility, or how to get rid of the pollution around it to be just blatantly your heart, to radiate, how to give love, not try to get it, how to radiate it out to everyone. The moon is your sense of security. It's your daily habits and how you live. So trying to be radiant and peaceful, that's radiant and loving, that's the solar challenge. To be secure and feeling secure, so your memories and your feelings aren't going back into dark things and into difficult things that are interfering and affecting your sense of security in the world today. Like, we come from a difficult home, or had this difficult mom, or have the difficult things happen. Those memories, we all have memories, and we all tend to remember the bad things. We don't always remember, the good things tend to fall away, but boy, do we worry about the bad things, these stupid little things, how we got affected, how something upset us. And this is our personal feelings. And the moon rules the feelings. It's in the Cancer, it rules the memory. Everything before this moment is just a memory. It's not even real. And the sun is everything. You're going with confidence into the future. That's the future. Neither in this moment is real, and the moon and the sun are the next first prominent factors, your past and your future. And they're powerful forces that affect our concepts, our values, and what we do in our life. So important to live simply, confidently, and depending on what level we live at, what level our consciousness is. We can live very grossly, we can live very, we can come out of a good home or a bad home. You can do everything perfect with your kids and still they can end up having bad friends, or you can do everything bad and they can end up having good friends. It's really a funny puzzle. But there is a challenge behind each of these planets in a way of developing. So Mercury is your mind, and many of the religious places, first you get a peaceful place, then you get some place where you can build up some confidence in yourself. But you have to do that, to find your heart and your sun, you have to control the mind. You have to stop the monkey mind from running around thinking everything. You have to stop the discriminating mind from critical. You have to get to a peace where there's no thinking, no talking, no thinking. Silence is golden. Well, that's very difficult for the Gemini or the Virgo. But the Mercury rules the better, the good, and the bad thinking. So depending on how you're thinking, how good your thinking is, that's the meditation, the spiritual side is to get beyond your thoughts, so to not be controlled by your thoughts, or to see how your heart is separate from your thoughts. This is very difficult for some people to do, especially if your sun is in the same, and Mercury's in the same side as your sun. But there's a lot of spiritual disciplines dealing with controlling the mind, directing, getting at peace, not being pulled by it, not making all your thoughts real. Okay, so thoughts are real in their own way, but they're different than love. Okay. So in that difference, you have the curiosity of the free-thinking Gemini, and you have the discrimination of the analytical Virgo, of the critical thinking Virgo. Both two sides of the same coin, both necessary for a good, positive thinking. But boy, when we're thinking from our mind, we usually have mental thinking. When our mind is guided from our heart, from our love, and we have heartfelt thoughts and heartfelt ideas, wow, it's a whole different world that evolves. And as that evolves, as you evolve on that path, it changes the level of your horoscope and how your horoscope works.